Hi, this is a brief introduction to style in academic writing. Okay, I like to think of academic writing as a game, and what we'll try and do is give you the rules to play within, and also some of the techniques you can employ to excel at academic writing. Now, academic writing has its own set ways of doing things in this country, and it's more than likely that they're quite different from your country. So let's say academic writing in the UK is like a basketball game, and certain skills are useful to be successful, and there's also certain rules to abide by when you're playing. Now, if you come from another sport, let's say for example ice hockey, and it's a much more physical game. You're allowed to hit people, you can fight them. If you do that in basketball, you would get kicked out of the game. You would fail. So let's think of this ice hockey player as coming from being a successful academic writer in another country and trying to apply their rules to the rules in the UK. Doesn't mean that they'll be successful. Academic writing is also something that we all have to learn. It's not something you're born with. It's also what's known as a social practice, and by that we mean that we need to think about who we are writing for. So in your case, it's most likely going to be your teacher and maybe your peers as well. So have that in the back of your mind when you write. So as I said, there's rules, and we need to know what they are and abide by them. It's something that we have to just learn as we go, or be taught perhaps on courses like this. Okay, so here are some of the examples that we're going to correct as we go along. It's unlikely that the rail system will ever improve as they are not investing enough money in it. So this is an example of contractions. There we go. Second one there. We never use contractions, so it should be the full word. It is, and they are. Okay, so contractions are out. Let's have a look at the example. Okay, so we've gotten rid of it. We have it is and they are. Easy. Next one, lots of people think it's cool to wear sunglasses at night. You be the judge. This is informal. We shouldn't say lots of. It's also relatively imprecise. And we've got, again, quite informal language here. Cool is okay to talk, to use this word when you are speaking with your friends, but it doesn't translate well to your academic writing. So how could we change this? Instead of saying lots of, we could say it's widely believed. So this is a much more formal way of saying the same thing. And instead of saying cool, we'll say that it improves your social status. Next example, I think there's a big risk of more bad things like rioting, disorder, and stuff. Again, this would be considered to be a little informal, and we should avoid using personal pronouns. So don't use the word I or we. More bad things is informal, and don't use etc. So if we were to correct this, you might have a sentence that looks like this. There appears to be a significant risk of further rioting and disorder. Sadly, serious crime like murder is going up, which is not a nice thing. This is emotive language. We should try not to do that when we are writing. We need to stay neutral. So words like sadly are not acceptable. Instead of saying like, we could say for example or such as. This is a little bit informal. Going up, we can use, instead of a phrasal verb, I believe that is, we would use something like increasing. Therefore, going up, which is more formal explanation, which is not a nice thing. Let's be specific here. Serious crimes such as, for example, murder is increasing. And we've avoided the not a nice thing, again, because it is emotive. The second thing is that we all know that poor kids from that area will become criminals. Oh, look at him, he's enjoying himself with that fire. Instead of saying the second thing, we might say secondly. We all know we should avoid saying these types of things because it suggests that everyone thinks this, and that's highly unlikely. I don't agree with this. And basically it's a generalization. So generalizations should be avoided. They are most often considered to be offensive. You might be offending people who might be from a poor background. The teacher that's marking you might have come from a poor background. You might be offending them. We should also try and hedge. Instead of using words like this, we could use, instead of saying something that's 100%, we might say may or might. So it leaves the possibility open that we are wrong, which is important. So there we go. The second factor is that it is possible that some children, so there's hedging there, not all children, some from that area may, there's your hedging, may become criminals. In small classes, the tutor teaches the students in small groups of pairs. You would expect that there's nothing wrong with this, but in academic writing we try and avoid active sentences, and we then change them into the passive. So active is out, no, passive is in. And how we do that is basically we take the subject, which is the object that is doing the action. So in this case, the person or thing that is doing the teaching is the tutor, and we turn it around. So it would look something like this. In some small classes, there's a bit of hedging there as well. The students are taught. Students are now the subject, are taught. So the teaching is now in the passive by the tutor in some small groups. This one's nice and simple. What were the main causes of the French Revolution? Don't ask the question, give the answer. Alright, so we should state maybe a list of what the causes were, but don't ask questions in your essay. You're meant to answer them. And the last example, cats are better than dogs. You may or may not agree with this statement. What's wrong with it? Well, there needs to be some kind of reason for this. So what is the reason? Why does the writer think this? So maybe give an example, provide some kind of evidence. They also need, put that there, evidence. And also we need support. What do I mean by support? Well, not literally supporting, this dog is supporting the cat, this cat is supporting the rats. What we want is support from an academic. So if you did your research and you found a veterinarian or a scientist or someone who's an expert in animals, particularly cats and dogs, who suggests that cats are a superior animal to dogs for various different reasons, you give your reasons and you also use their name. So let's say it's Dr. Smith, and the article that you read it in was in 2009 or 2008, whatever. Then you put that there when you're giving your example, and we'll show you what the final will look like. So if you can read that there, it just says Smith 2014 suggests that cats may, again, we're hedging, we're not entirely 100% sure, be better than dogs because of their ability to survive, and that is some of the reasons why this might be true.